There's not one of us, there really isn't one of us that hasn't found themselves in a life dilemma, trying to find the answers, asking everyone around us for reassurance or guidance. In those moments of being in that life dilemma, I don't believe there's not one person that doesn't really know the answer. I'm a great believer that we have an inner guidance system that sits there right in your core. In many ways, that's your gut instinct, but furthermore, it's like a knowing. It has a substance, has a feeling, has a flavour. So whenever we find ourselves in those life dilemmas, quite often we do know the answer. It's that kind of first feeling, it's that first thought. Now, how do we kind of distinguish between thoughts and feeling and knowing? Well, here we go. Okay, so it sits there right in the core. It's known as the gut instinct, it's known as the intuition, but it has a different quality. So how can you distinguish between your inner chatter, your kind of inner dialogue, the mind and its thoughts, the what ifs, the buts and the whys and the hows, to absolutely that inner guidance system, that compass where we all, I'm a great believer that we all have an inner compass. So how do you know the difference between the two? Okay, so one is practice, okay, but quite simply, the inner voice, okay, because I believe that we all have an inner voice. The inner voice has a calm to it, okay. It has this sense of it comes to you, and it has this calm, reassuring, patient feeling to it. The voice can come very quickly, and it can come very fast, yet it has a quality to it. And when it kind of touches you, you get a sense of calm that washes over you. There's an absolute conviction to it because it does have a different quality. There is no doubt in its voice. There's no doubt in its feeling. There's an absolute pure knowing. So the next time that you're in a life dilemma or you're standing there at crossroads, go left, go right, it's that first feeling that comes back to you. And quite often it does have that calming, reassuring thing. It's like a click. Okay, it's like pieces of a jigsaw absolutely coming together, and you get this peace that washes over you. And there's your knowing. Within that knowing, there's a conviction. So the next time that you are at a point of a decision, kind of listen back. You're kind of always, I feel, be able to tap into that, but what stops us is the knowing. The inner voice starts to talk to you, and then the mind grabs hold of it. And as the mind grabs hold of it, it gives you the buts, the whys, the ifs, and kind of throws you. It throws you off track. Now, what is that? Well, quite simply, that's the fear. That's fear beginning to kind of grab hold of you. It's the fear arising after the inner voice speaks. So it's the second voice normally. And what that is the mind is not trusting the instinct or the intuition or the inner voice. The mind and the inner voice are not yet working together. I'm kind of believer with time and with kind of working with this and kind of nurturing this ability, what you do is get integration, where then at that point what happens is the inner voice speaks to you, the knowing speaks to you, that kind of sense of complete wholeness, oneness speaks to you. And then what happens is the mind starts to kind of work with it, and then starts to apply the solutions to be able to achieve that decision. So you get a clear answer, you get a clear signal, and then after time of integration, the mind starts to work with you in harmony, okay, and then starts to kind of give you solutions to be able to apply that decision, that knowing, that feeling. That comes with time. So people say to me, Shane, how can you then develop that? We develop it, I feel, by finding that stillness, finding that quiet within your life, and kind of really tapping into the feeling, the quality, because always when you are in a life dilemma, there will be an answer there. The thing is, what kind of derails that or hijacks that is fear. Okay, so quite often you do know the answer. What stops you is fear. Okay, so you can absolutely wake up in the morning and absolutely have clear guidance and an absolute knowing what to do. Why don't you apply that? Why don't you action that? Why don't you follow that through? Quite simply because you're afraid of just in cases. It's just in case this, just in case that. We don't trust it enough because what we're working with is an uncertainty. Okay, we're looking for the guarantee. Now, what kind of develops the guarantee is by applying it and throwing yourself into that little by little with little simple decisions, and you start to build up trust. And then the mind will go, right, okay, this is what we need to do. Here's the solution on making that decision, and it will start to harmonize. Fear is a very, very powerful emotion. If you kind of look out there in the world, you see fear as one of the strongest emotions. So what you're quite simply working with is fear, which stops the action. It's not the not knowing actually that stops you. It's applying the knowing. It's the action on the back end of knowing. So quite simply, it's just feel it. It is there. The answer arises in you. So next time you're at a decision, look, search, feel the inner voice, and then begin to feel the quality. Quite simply, right now, if you're standing at a crossroads, remember, you do know the answer. The answer is there. It's the first voice. What's stopping you is acting on that answer, which actually is the fear. Work on action, gently moving forwards.